Snoring has become a regular issue between the youngsters. It is not only a disturbance for others, but it has got adverse health effects. Well, today we have with us Dr. Mohammed Shafi PS, who is an MS, DNB, ENT from PGI Institute, and he's right now working as a consultant ENT head and neck surgeon with Renai Medicity. Well, doctor, would you like to tell us something about this before we move on to the first question?
As she told earlier, the snoring has now become a major health issue in public, especially in youths. What we know about snoring is little bit. What exactly the snoring is normally people recognize this issue as a loud voice during sleeping and which causes disturbance to others. Normally it doesn't because the snoring is a problem where we can call these patients, these candidates as a patients. I will be addressing these individuals as a patients. Normally these patients have a gradual obstruction of their airway. That means normally our air, when we breathe, the air goes through the nose towards the upper airway tract towards the lungs. Okay, there are so many structures in the way from the nose till the lungs. During those patients who have snoring, they develop some kind of obstruction. It can be anywhere, it can be the tip of the nose, it can be the nasal walls, it can be the throat, and over the little bit low. These areas, those patients develop obstructions. Actually, it is called as a gradual progressive obstruction, and this obstruction leads to gradually it progresses and it leads to a complete obstruction. And as the obstruction progresses, normally we know when we while having a juice, when we sip the last part of the juice, when we sip strongly, we will have a gurgling sound. That happens during the initial phase of the snoring. When the air goes through the narrowed airway, it causes vibrations of the surrounding and it causes loud voice. This loud voice is not a problem for the patient. Actually, it creates problem for the others, because it is a big noise is coming out and others can't sleep, the partner and friends like that. But the main health issue is that the obstruction gradually progresses and it leads to a complete obstruction of the airway. At that point, the patient is not breathing actually, and they are not getting any sort of oxygen, and at that time the lack of oxygen intake and normally the carbon dioxide which develops in our body, normally it has to go out. It gets accumulated in our body. Both these issues creates so many health issues. Not only the imbalance of these gases in the body, along with that the patients his sleep broken so many steps. Actually now our sleep is a 4-stage cycle, simply say 4-stage cycle. We have to go through the first, second, third and fourth. When we reach the 4th stage, then only we get a complete sleep. That is called a stage 4 sleep, NREM sleep. Okay, if we are not achieving that sleep, the sleeps get disturbed. These sleep disturbance causes major part of the mental issues that is shown by these snoring patients. And what the gases part, the oxygen intake, the lack of the oxygen and the accumulation of the carbon dioxide in the body creates so many hormone released during the sleep, and it causes further health issues like hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and even as dangerous as sudden cardiac deaths during the sleep.
Doctor, this is the first question. We have few questions from the audience side.
I am Midul Sagar, doing my MBA at Bhavans Royal Institute of Management. My question is, doctor, what are the health issues related to snoring?
When we come to the health issues regarding to the snoring, we can classify patients according to their age group. It's not only a problem of the youth. It normally happens in pediatric age group and youth, and also in old age, even in pediatric issues. Okay. When we come to the pediatric age group, these snorings are above more than 95% of the cases. These snoring are caused by a growth disease called adenotonsillitis. In this situation, what happens is that normally we have tonsils in our throat. Everybody knows that what are tonsils. There are some tissues similar to the tonsils which is situated behind the nose. Okay, and those children which are getting who are getting repeated infections, and those are prone to the allergies, these adeno tissues also get enlarged, and it causes a nasal obstruction. This nasal obstruction, that means the nose is get obstructed, but it's not in the front part, it's a little bit posterior, little bit above the throat. And these children, especially they have more obstruction during the sleep, and these children because they are growing, this obstruction can cause major abnormalities in their face, like there are structural problems which can occur to the face. Normally we breathe to the nose. If they start, nose is blocked, they will start breathing to the mouth, and they will have an open mouth breathing. This open mouth breathing has more ill effects, because the patient they breathe to the mouth, there will be have a malocclusion of the teeth, protrusion of the mandible, that means the facial skeleton. The mouth will come like nose, pointed mouth, upturned lips and upturned nose, and there will be a maldevelopment of the facial sinuses, and altogether they will have an adenoid facies. Okay, that is another part of the structural abnormality. And what are the systemic effects, bodily effects, is that the similar thing as I told earlier. There will be gas problems, because there will be less oxygen inside the body and more carbon dioxide. That causes a increased stress hormone release, and those children normally they will have a hyperactivity. And normally in adult age group, because of the lack of the sleep, they normally have a daytime sleepiness. Most of the time the patient will be drowsy while driving the car, while sitting in the theater, while reading a paper. They get rapidly dosed. But in pediatric age group, they are exactly opposite. That means their children become hyperactive, like a attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Most of the children pediatric age group show is due to the adenotonsillitis. And the other part is this snoring. The primary cause I told you earlier is an adenoids. They can cause repeated ear infections and so on. So when come to the adult age group, normally the ill effects are due to two problems. One is the breakage of the sleep, and the other is due to the systemic effect. What happens when the patient doesn't get a good sleep is that it's like a credit card. Your sleeps get accumulated, and it's not fulfilled. Then whenever you daytime work, they always feel drowsy, not interested in work, and easily get dosed in public, like reading, watching TV, talking with another. Even patients say that when they get in between conversation, they get dosed. Okay, that happens. And due to the lack of the sleep, there are emotional instabilities. They get angry. There are short-term memory losses. Normally they don't remember where the key is put, whether your mobile phone is kept. That's short-term memory loss, and so many health, mental issues related to this lack of the sleep. And when to the systemic effect, due to the stress, actually these hormones normally it's like a stress hormones which are released during the sleep when they get obstructed. These stress hormones, instead of it's a name implicates there is a stress hormone to tackle the stress. They will have a high BP, hypertension, diabetes, and obesity, even so-called cardiac arrhythmias, the imbalance of the cardiac rhythm. Then the fatal part of the problem is heart attack, even during the sleep. Those all can occur in adult population.
Doctor, this is the next question.
My name is Amrita. I am from BRIM. I am an MBA student. So my question is, how do we can differentiate snoring which can be dangerous?
Normally those patients present with the snoring, there will be initial symptom will be, main presenting symptom will be the sound only. They say, doctor, I snore more and it causes disturbance to others. For me, it's not only the sound, as I told, the obstructive pattern which is more concerned with that, concern as in respect to the patient's health. Okay, simply these patients present with snoring can be classified into three categories. There are patients which have a simple snoring, but normally they have only a sound which is coming. They will not develop a complete obstruction or a or a narrowing of the airway which is harmful to them. They will have only the sound part, the snoring. And the second and third category, in the second category normally they will have the sleep breakage, but they don't have that much gas exchange problems. In the third category there will be both sleep breakage and also the gas exchange problems, which causes the stress related issues and so on. Mainly when patient comes to the a clinical examination can point out some sort of obstruction. If there is an obstruction in the nose, throat, we can easily find out. The second is the symptoms of the patient and the observation by the partner or by the friends. Normally we ask the patients any episodes of sudden awakening during the sleep. Most of the patients will have this complete obstruction and they will crave for this air and they will suddenly wake up, but they will not be knowing what is happening. The observer will, when the partner say that doctor, he gets during the sleep very sudden awakening, then he goes to sleep again. That is called a apneic spells. Apnea means complete cessation of the respiration. And the second is the more increased daytime symptoms, that increased dozing, sleepiness, this emotional disturbance, all indicate that the patient gets sleep breakage and also the called gas exchange problems. When it comes to the investigation part, it can be we can easily record these problems. There are so many methods. One of the new techniques are the sleep study. Okay, as we know, if there is any problem in the blood, we check the blood. That's how in that way, if there is problem during the sleep, we can easily check sleep. It is done during the sleep study. It is an automated machine. Actually, there are 3 levels of sleep study which is normally available in our setup. One is a home-based study. There are so different machines are used. One, normally we use a simple instrument which can be tested on the home-based, where patient normally sleeps. The lab people will go there and they will connect some computer related leads and they record the one night sleep. Okay, and we get the report on the next day morning. In that report we can easily assess how deep the problem is, how much the oxygen desaturation is there, and what about the heart rate, or how far the obstruction is. Everything we can point out from that. The high level test is a hospital admitted, that needs a hospital admission. Most of the time this home based study is more than enough for initial investigation. If we find this is as a severe obstruction, next we will go for a sleep endoscopy normally. That is nothing but we give some drug. It's a hospital based study and patient gets normal sleep. It's an artificial sleep actually, and we insert a small camera which we directly visualize where the exact obstruction is. After this basic these two tests, we can easily 99.9% we can identify the problem which is more dangerous or which is less dangerous.
We have the next question.
I am Lakshmi Ashokumar, student of Bhavan's Royal Institute of Management. Sir, I have a doubt, like what are the treatments involved in snoring and how much it costs?
When we come to the treatment part, as I told you earlier, the main problem of the snoring is an obstruction. To relieve, the treatment is mainly aimed at relieving this obstruction. It is done in both 2 ways. Preliminary, the patient should have a lifestyle modifications, like if he is an obese patient, he has to reduce the weight, he has to start exercising. If he normally people develop more snoring while sleeping on supine position, we advise a right or left lateral position during the sleep, and those general measures are always there. When come to the management part, it can be managed in 2 ways, either medical or surgical. The medical part is normally given through those machines called CPAP. Continuous positive airway pressure ventilation. In these methods, what the patient has to wear a mask and a small portable unit is there. This portable unit constantly pumps air into the airway tract, which keeps dilated. The airway get dilated. The collapsibility of the airway get prevented by these machines. The problem of the machine is that it's a good instrument. Normally patient doesn't need any surgery or sort of treatment, but he has to carry these instruments wherever he goes. Wherever he sleeps, he has to use this instrument for a lifelong. Okay. The next part is the surgical treatment. In this surgical treatment, I told you earlier the two investigation parts. After this investigation, we get a clear idea of the airway where the exact obstruction is. The surgical part is aimed at the relieving these obstructions. There are so many surgical methods, more than 25 different surgical options according to the level of the obstructions. Say something can be some sort of infection like a nasal wall collapse can be easily managed with a breath-free strips. If the patient has a large tongue problems which falls backward during the sleep, he needs a major surgery like a tongue-based reduction and losses, all those things. And newer modalities like a coblation technique are revolutionize the treatment, like it becomes more painless and bloodless when come to the surgery.
This is the next question.
I am a student of Bhavan's Royal Institute of Management. Actually, I am having a doubt whether surgical procedures can eliminate snoring permanently.
When we say about if does surgical procedures eliminate the problem completely, I can say more than 95% yes, because we are aiming at the obstructions and we are surgically reshaping the airway so that the most of the treatments are permanent, but also you have to follow the lifestyle modifications regularly. If we do a surgery in a lean patient and after his problems gets over and he eats more and get obese again, then problems can restart. But although more than 95% these surgical procedures aimed at the permanent resolution of this airway obstruction, and we more than 95% say yes, can completely relieve the problem.
Doctor, this is the next question.
Myself, Vishnu CS. I am doing my MBA in Bhavan's Royal Institute of Management. Doctor, once treated and rectified, whether snoring will reoccur?
For this question, I would say first of all I will say that it depends on the treatment that we already taken for this problem. If you say medical management, it doesn't relieve the obstruction permanently. The obstruction is still there and we are pumping the air and dilating the airway. And that means the obstruction is there, but the patient symptoms will relieve. Whenever, as long as you use the machine, the problem will be solved. Yes, you continue the problem machines, the problem can recur. When it comes to the surgical management, as I told you earlier, we are relieving the obstruction completely and the patient will get a symptomatic free period. But also, as I told you earlier, it's a narrowing of the airway. Okay, we are reshaping it and creating a wider airway. And think about the obesity. If the patient gets obese again, more fat deposition, this fat deposition can reduce the airway and can cause the recurrence again. Normally, patient has to follow lifestyle modifications strictly after the surgery. Normally, we don't operate those patients who have BMI more than 30. Okay. And the lifestyle modification, that's all. Surgical management is a permanent solution from my part. Medical management doesn't relieve the obstruction, so you have to continue for a long time.
Well, thank you so much, doctor, for coming here and sharing us this valuable information. And over to you guys, you have to be very healthy, so please eat properly and exercise like we always say in our episodes. Till then, you can always contact us via mails. You can send it to youthdiaryroseball@gmail.com. Till then, bye-bye.